Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I'm very excited to say that I have an update on that interesting story about the Massachusetts guy who accidentally fell on his knife, his neck knife, and died. So I had a message, and I'm pulling up my phone right now, and the message was, let's see, it's actually from a girl named Shelby, and she was messaging me on behalf of her boyfriend. I'm assuming her boyfriend doesn't have Instagram, whatever. So he's like, yo, you got to hit up Jeff. You got to tell him or show him these pictures. So first of all, the guy is Matt. His name is Matt Urban. And believe it or not, he's a Pennsylvania local. I'm not going to say exactly where. He's not that far from me. But, you know, for privacy, I'm not going to give the exact place. So first off, Matt and Shelby, thank you so much. 2 huge thumbs ups for a little bit more information about what's going on. So Shelby sent me these pictures, and I'm like, at first I really didn't know what they were. It just looked like a crime scene. These are pictures, I guess, from the news story, the actual news story like on TV. So we have a glimpse of the knife in question, all right? And this is just a little demonstration, and this will make total sense to you guys in a little bit. So here's the 2 pictures that were sent to me. The first one is this, all right? So same story. This is the actual, let's say, it's not really a murder weapon. It's just the, I don't know, the item that was used, I suppose. So that doesn't give us a whole lot. It looks kind of like a stick, right? So let's check out this other picture. The other picture gives us more information. So we see a lanyard or necklace, and you can clearly see a hole where it's attached. And for all intent and purposes, it still looks kind of like a stick. But at the very bottom, you could see that there was a point. So that is huge, because the more I thought about this story, and I might have mentioned in the last video, I do not recall, but I was talking about how like it'd be so unlikely for a neck knife, a dedicated tool like a knife in a sheath, something that's sharpened and probably has somewhat of a point on it, right? It would be so unlikely that it would fall out of the sheath and then fall in such a way, and then you would fall on it, right? Apparently, it's not actually a neck knife, right? This is a knife or knife-shaped item that's worn as a pendant. So as you saw in the picture there, it's not like a neck knife in a sheath like we're all used to, right? It's quite literally like something like this. It could be metal, it could be plastic. This happens to be solid G10, but it's knife-shaped. And the knife itself had a lanyard hole on it. And the lanyard hole had the lanyard. So you have an exposed tip and exposed blade, right? Now, I've seen knife pendants, and I had this conversation, it might have been in the comments, but I've seen like knife pendants. They're like yay big, they're pewter or whatever. They're not functional knives. You can't use them to cut stuff. They're just a decoration. It's a little dagger. You wear on a necklace. I mean, I had one when I was like 12 or 13 years old. It was cool. I'm sure I fell on it. I slept in it, you know, it never hurt me because the blade is this big. And if it were to actually push against me, it was pewter, so it would have just bent. But let's just assume that it's stainless steel or G10 or something, you know, super stiff and solid. So now this whole thing is making way more sense. If he has an exposed tool like this, just dangling from the neck, and you were to fall, yes, that makes sense where you can impale yourself on your own neck knife. It's not really a neck knife as much as it is a knife pendant or knife necklace. So I think, you know, I don't remember the original article, whether it said, you know, neck knife or knife necklace. If it said knife necklace, that's more accurate because that's what it was. It's just a fixed blade exposed on a necklace. But from those pictures, and let me bring them up again here, I don't see so much of a knife shape. It almost looks like just a generic spike of some kind. I'm not exactly sure, you know, what, let's see, there we go. It's a blurry image, but at least it's an image of something, right? It doesn't look like it was a dedicated knife. It doesn't even look metal to me, although I know that sounds silly. How can I know what material it is by looking at it? I'm assuming it's some kind of a spike or some kind of a self-defense type tool. Could be plastic, ABS, G10, who knows? Maybe it is metal. Regardless, it looks like somewhat of a cylindrical item that comes to a point. It was around his neck on purpose. There's a cord through it. It's not like it was just being held there briefly to do something. It was a dedicated tool he decided to put around his neck like that. And when he fell, which, you know, falling is not rare, that obviously fell in such a way where it impaled him. It does look definitely long enough to cause a fatal injury. Again, when I was first talking about this, and I was bringing up pendants, knife pendants, and knife necklaces for decoration, I'm thinking, you know, inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, pewter, you know, soft stainless, or not stainless steel, but soft metal, pot metal, you know, something you get at a fair or a carnival. You know what I mean? Nothing that was rigid enough or big enough to cause a fatal injury. But clearly, whatever that is in the picture, yes, I can imagine if you impaled yourself on it, it would cause a fatal injury. There's actually a video. Let me find this video here I saved, which has a brief, it doesn't show the same picture, but it's the same story.
Called a freak accident at a birthday party at the Kowloon restaurant, Route 1 here in Saugus. It turned deadly out in the parking lot. Of course, this all comes after another incident at the Kowloon, that Thanksgiving Eve brawl. Our Oscar Morgan was there this morning.
And this iconic North Shore restaurant has been the setting of multiple investigations, including the death of 42-year-old Patrick Kenny Jr., who was found with a knife wound here at the Kowloon parking lot on Saturday night. Now, a source close to the investigation is telling us that Kenny was found with a knife attached to a lanyard he was wearing around his neck. This is a photo that was shared by the Kenny family of Patrick. They say that he died after that fatal wound on Saturday night after attending a birthday party at the restaurant. The Essex County District Attorney's Office believes that this was an accident as nobody else was involved. So naturally, the question both investigators and the family are asking is, how could this happen and why would Kenny be carrying a knife? Now, the Kenny family issued a statement saying, "Our family is mourning the loss of Patrick, focused on his wife Lauren and 2 young children, and trying to make sense of this horrific tragedy. Patrick was a loving father, a husband, brother, son, and a loyal friend to many." Bob Wong, the owner of the Kowloon, says some of the members of the Kenny family are regulars at the restaurant, sharing this statement and saying, "I know they're going through a tough period. We should really focus on them. We know that they're wonderful people, and we are heartbroken." Now, Kenny's death follows a violent brawl that took place at the Kowloon, marking now 2 unfortunate incidents in the last 2 weeks. Reporting in Saugus, Oscar Morgan, NBC 10 Boston.
It just so happens that that particular restaurant, you saw at the very end of the clip there was a huge brawl, right? There's this massive fight going on, and then a week later, they find this guy dead in the parking lot, apparently. And again, there's nothing here in the article or this video suggesting that he was found alive. And they asked him what was going on, or he was rushed to, ER or whatever. It seems as if he was found deceased. And the only thing there was his knife. Now, it also seems like the knife was not in him. Otherwise, why would it be on the ground in those pictures, right? So my assumption of what happened is this dude's walking through the parking lot, right? And he falls. Oh no, he fell on his knife necklace he had, whatever that thing is, and then immediately pulled it out. And by pulling it out, by the way, if you're impaled with something, you have to leave it in because you have a better chance of making it to the hospital. When you pull something out of you, it's like taking a cork out of a bottle. Now you're leaking all of that very important red stuff that we all need, and more than likely that's why he died. He just bled out. So it's still a mystery. What really boggles my mind still, now that I know it's more likely to have happened, but the fact that his wife and his family was wondering what he was doing with a knife. That means that this thing that was around his neck was not something that was normal, that he regularly did. It's something his wife never knew about. So unless, he didn't see his wife very often, I don't know, that aspect of the story is even weirder. That because it goes from, it makes more sense that it was an accident, back to, well, if he never carried something like this, then what is it? Why is it there? Was this some kind of an attack? Was this murder? And then the person just left the murder weapon at the scene, and they just assumed because it's on a lanyard that he was carrying it and fell on it? I have no idea. It's still, even with the more information here, it's still a huge question mark. Very, very strange stuff. So that's just an update on it. I don't know if we'll ever really have a conclusion, so to speak, but it makes more sense as for the conversation I was having about neck knives. He was not carrying a neck knife. Whether someone just attacked him with it or he was actually carrying it, that's not a neck knife. That's a knife necklace, which is definitely not recommended to be that, you know, like this. And this is why I grabbed this as a prop. This is a fantastic kind of covert, you know, solid G10 dagger. This thing would absolutely impale skin. This would be devastating. It'd be fatal. And this has a lanyard hole in the bottom, which means you could put a necklace on this and just carry it on your neck. Now this comes to an incredible point. I would never do that in a million years. So yeah, it's not a good idea, but this has nothing to do with neck knives. This would be the idea of having a exposed knife blade as a necklace, which I don't know anyone who does that. So anyway, that's all, just an update. Let me know what you think down in the comment section, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with a new video. Take care.